Tilopa was a gambler. And like all gamblers, behind his addiction to gambling was that competitiveness that's present in all of life. The opposites, good and bad, right and wrong, and all those other things that represent the arena in which life is played on that level. But with Tilopa, of course, it was addictive. He would bet on anything, in any situation. He had to win, no matter what it was. And for a long time, he would kind of break even. But then he began to lose. And he lost everything, because he was willing to bet everything, to win. And of course, when he'd given everything, he had to go into credit. So he went to the money lenders, and he borrowed money to play. And he lost again and again, until it got to the stage where his creditors were hounding him. So Tilopa had to run away, to hide from those who were pursuing him. He found himself in the cremation ground, a cemetery, hiding behind the tombstones. But his creditors found him and beat the living daylights out of him. Beat him until he was black and blue and bruised. And as he was lying there bewailing his fate and nursing his wounds, it so happened that a wise sage came by. Nothing by chance, of course. And the sage said to him, "Tell me, my son, what is it that's happened to you?" So Tilopa told him his story. "Oh," said the wise man, "have you ever tried meditation?" Tilopa said, "What are the odds?" And then he began to weep. "You see, there I go again. Just tell me, what is it that I can do to free myself from this affliction?" So the wise man gave him an initiation. And he said, "Now, you have to visualize the 3 realms of mind. The sensual experience level, the aesthetic, and the formless." The wise men said, "You know the third one very well. It's as empty as your pockets are now." And then, when you have visualized the 3 dimensions of mind, you must study the nature of mind until it becomes that spacious emptiness. So Tilopa practiced what the wise man had said. He looked at all 3 realms until they merged into one. And as they merged into one, he realized that there was something that was aware of the melding of those 3. The sensual, the aesthetic or intuitive as we know it, and the formless. And as he did, he became that vast, spacious emptiness. After this, Tilopa became a great and compassionate teacher. And he used to say, had I not suffered and known suffering and anguish, I would not have the compassion to have reached this goal. Some days ago, it was said, stillness is not what it seems. And this question can be asked of you because you've already found the answer to the question that was asked prior to that. And that question was, what happens when stillness and movement meet? We know that it brings about the responses that are an enactment of what we may call the divine will, the will of God, the law. But until we can answer this question, we cannot proceed to what it is that lies behind the doorway of stillness. So what does it mean, this story of Tilopa? Visualize the three realms of mind described as that sensual, that place of opposites, combativeness, competition, the aesthetic, that intuitive knowingness that we all have. And this, that's been called in this story, formlessness. We might call it by other names, but we know those moments when we've been lost, those spaces where it's all come together and there's been no sense of polarity. What about when we visualize them and put them all together? Just like we do before we can allow the perceptions and the experiences of life to pass down the channels of the spine and meet this state of mind, unified state of mind. But what is it that can visualize these three realms? And with the concentration of that visualization, find it becoming spacious emptiness. If you have any questions about it, try it for yourself. We've been meditators. We know what it's like to sit and contemplate, using whatever methodologies that have been there for us to utilize, even if it's only been going out into the garden and picking the weeds with great concentration. It matters not what form our meditations have taken. But now, in this place, beyond meditation, we need to be able to know what it is that has been meditating. And in so doing, we have the possibility of becoming that spacious emptiness. That's our destination, whatever that means. But to know and embrace and be embraced by the law that arises, that same law that's enacted when stillness and movement meet, then and only then can we proceed. What we do is not meditation and contemplation. How do we, as Tilopa did, visualize the three realms of mind? How do we do that? Try it for yourself and find out. Try it for yourself and find out. Then we can speak business about what it is that lies behind stillness.